Hello dear students, I'm Miss Lindley. Welcome to class. I'm going to put some things up on the screen that I hope will help you follow along. It is plain that much of this might be vainglory, and the mere desire of popularity and applause. Yet from other qualities and carriages of the man one might believe all this cost and public display to be the effect of devotion. For he was one of those who dreaded the divine powers extremely, and, as Thucydides tells us, was much given to arts of divination. In one of Pasiphae's dialogues, it is stated that he daily sacrificed to the gods, and keeping a diviner at his house, professed to be consulting always about the commonwealth, but for the most part inquired about his own private affairs, more especially concerning his silver mines, for he owned many works at Larium of great value, but somewhat hazardous to carry on. He maintained there a multitude of slaves, and his wealth consisted chiefly in silver. Hence he had many hangers-on about him, begging and obtaining. For he gave to those who could do him mischief no less than to those who deserved well. In short, his timidity was a revenue to rogues, and his humanity to honest men. We find testimony in the comic writers, as when Teleclides, speaking as one of the professed informers, says, Charicles gave the man £1, the matter not to name, that from inside a money bag into the world he came. And Nicias also paid him for, I know the reason well, but Nicias is a worthy man, and so I will not tell. So also the informer whom Eupolis introduces in his Maricas, attacking a good simple poor man. How long ago did you and Nicias meet? I did but see him just now in the street. The man has seen him and denies it not. 'Tis evident that they are in a plot. See you, O citizens, 'tis fact, Nicias is taken in the act. Taken, fools, take so good a man, in aught that's wrong none will or can. Cleon in Aristophanes makes it one of his threats. I'll outscream all the speakers and make Nicias stand aghast. Phrynichus also implies his want of spirit and his easiness to be intimated in the verses. A noble man he was, I well can say, nor walked like Nicias, cowering on his way. So cautious was he of informers, and so reserved, that he never would dine out with any citizen, nor allowed himself to indulge in talk and conversation with his friends, nor give himself any leisure for such amusements. But when he was general, he used to stay at the office till night, and was the first that came out to the council house, and the last that left. And if no public business engaged him, it was very hard to have access or to speak with him, he being retired at home and locked up. And when any came to the door, some friend of his gave them good words, and begged them to excuse him. Nicias was very busy, as if affairs of state and public duties still kept him occupied. He who principally acted this part for him, and contributed most to this state and show, was Hiero, a man educated in Nicias' family, and instructed by him in letters and music. He professed to be the son of Dionysius, surnamed Chalcas, whose poems are yet extant, and had led out the colony to Italy and founded the Thurii. This Hiero transacted all his secrets for Nicias with diviners, and gave out to the people what a toilsome and miserable life he led for the sake of the commonwealth. He, said Hiero, can never be either at the bath or at his meat, but some public business interferes. Careless of his own and zealous for the public good, he scarcely ever goes to bed till after others have had their first sleep, so that his health is impaired and his body out of order. Nor is he cheerful or affable with his friends, but loses them, as well as his money, in the service of the state, while other men gain friends by public speaking, enrich themselves, fare delicately, and make government their amusement. And in fact, this was Nicias' manner of life, so that he might well apply himself to the words of Agamemnon. Vain pomps the ruler of the life we live, and a slave's service to the crowd we give. He observed that the people, in the case of men of eloquence or of eminent parts, make use of their talents upon occasion, but were always jealous of their abilities, and held a watchful eye upon them, taking all opportunities to humble their pride and debate their reputation, as was manifest in their condemnation of Pericles, their banishment of Damon, their distrust of Antiphon the Rhamnusian, but especially in the case of Pacis, who took Lesbos, who, having to give an account of his conduct in the very court of justice, unsheathed his sword and slew himself. Upon such considerations, Nicias declined all difficult and lengthy enterprises. If he took a command, he was for doing what was safe, and if, as thus was likely, he had for the most part success, he did not attribute it to any wisdom, conduct, or courage of his own, but to avoid envy he thanked fortune for all, and gave the glory to the divine powers. And the actions themselves bore testimony in his favor. The city met at that time with several considerable reverses, but he had not a hand in any of them. The Athenians were routed in Thrace by the Chalcidians, Calliades and Xenophon commanding in chief. Demosthenes was the general when they were unfortunate in Aetolia. At Delium they lost 1,000 citizens under the conduct of Hippocrates. The plague was principally laid to the charge of Pericles, he, to carry on the war, having shut up close together in the town the crowd of people from the country, who by the change of place and of their usual course of living bred the pestilence. Nicias stood clear of all this. Under his conduct was taken Cythera, an island most commodious against Laconia, and occupied by the Lacedaemonian settlers. Many places, likewise, in Thrace, which had revolted, were taken or won over by him. He, shutting up the Megarians within their own town, seized upon the isle of Minoa, and soon after, advancing this from Nicaea, made himself master there, and then, making a descent upon the Corinthian territory, fought a successful battle, and slew a great number of the Corinthians with their captain Lysippron. There it happened that 2 of his men were left by an oversight when they carried off the dead, which when he understood, he stopped the fleet, and sent a herald to the enemy for leave to carry off the dead. Though by law and custom, he that by a truce craved leave to carry off the dead was hereby supposed to give up all claim to the victory. Nor was it lawful for him that did this to erect a trophy, for his is the victory who is master of the field, and he is not master who asks leave, as wanting power to take. But he chose rather to renounce his victory and his glory than to let 2 citizens lie unburied. He scoured the coast of Laconia all along, and beat the Lacedaemonians that made head against him. He took Thyrea, occupied by the Aeginetans, and carried the prisoners to Athens. And that's all there is for today. We'll end with our closing words. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Thanks.